watching TV, I always had to have something to snack on. And I couldn't just snack on a little bit. I had to have the whole bag. So binge eating has always been an issue for me. And it is amazing how this way of eating, the plant-based whole food way of eating, I don't think about binge eating at all anymore. And it's just like a switch was turned off. I've binge eaten my entire life, especially watching TV. And now I just don't do it anymore. I don't feel like I need to. My body doesn't feel like it needs to.
Welcome to the Plant-Based Eating Made Easy podcast. I'm your host, Anna Zinn, plant-based registered dietitian and transition coach. Hi, friend. Do you want to regain your health with plant-based eating but feel overwhelmed and lost about how to do it? Do you feel it'll be hard to change your meat-heavy diet and impossible with working, running the home, or chasing after the grandkids? If so, you're in the right place. Here you'll find simple strategies, clear nutrition guidance, and practical tips to help you thrive plant-powered with more energy. So if you're ready to ditch the guesswork and transform your health the stress-free way, cozy up now with a hot cup of tea or listen while you walk, and let me show you how doable plant-based eating can be. Let's do this. Hello, and welcome back to this Plant-Based Eating Made Easy podcast. So today I'm excited to have Winnona join us for part 2 of the interview with her, and we can get a chance to delve more into her story and her experience with plant-based eating. For those of our listeners who haven't listened to part 1 yet, this is just a little recap of what we talked about. Winnona shared about what her lifestyle was like before she moved to a plant-based diet, including an 8-month stint with a keto diet and the impact of that on her body. And how, with her gradually worsening cholesterol levels and her blood sugar levels becoming a problem, she started looking more into an alternative way of eating. And her friend introduced her to the idea of a whole food plant-based diet, which is what she then started looking into and doing research on. And at the end of December in 2023, she decided to make a switch. And it was a complete switch, an overnight switch, to a whole food plant-based diet with no meat, no dairy, no eggs. And she noticed improvements in her health in many different ways pretty soon afterwards, within that first week and up till today. She's 3 months into her plant-based eating journey. So welcome, Winnona. Thank you for joining us again today.
Thank you for having me back.
You're welcome. I just wanted to pick up on the health issues and the health challenges that you were experiencing before. So you mentioned you had issues with blood sugar levels and how you were having higher cholesterol levels, which may have been the result of the keto diet, of being on it for 8 months. Were there other health issues or diagnoses you were struggling with at the time?
Not really, other than the skin condition of hidradenitis suppurativa, which I've actually not had a flare-up in the last 3 months. That's kind of remarkable because usually I would have small flare-ups or a large one, but it was pretty consistent, and I haven't had one since I switched, not one.
Wow, that's wonderful to hear, especially if this is a condition you've been dealing with since growing up. It sounds like so. That's fantastic to hear that for the last 3 months, you haven't had one flare-up of that. Did you have issues with blood pressure, arthritis as well?
Well, I do have issues with blood pressure, and I do take medication for that. I've had issues with my blood pressure probably for the last 10 years. So I've been on medication for that for a long time. However, I notice because I do check my blood pressure every time I check my glucose nowadays, and I notice I get more normal readings now than I have in the last 10 years.
That's super to hear. For many people who are on a plant-based diet, they do notice improvements in their blood pressure levels. So that's fantastic to see that you're noticing more normal readings now. So definitely continue to keep checking those along with your blood sugar levels. Maybe at some point your doctor can adjust your medications. Wouldn't that be wonderful?
Yeah, that would be fantastic. One thing I did also notice, because I am in menopause, when I started menopause, I noticed that I would wake up a lot more achy. I haven't been diagnosed with arthritis, but I was getting a lot more joint pain just from menopause. And I don't have those morning aches anymore at all.
That's wonderful to be able to wake up and feel refreshed and not have to deal with any kind of aches in your body when you wake up. Like you said, something's right is happening right there with your body, just with all these improvements you've had so far. I'm curious to know, did certain medical conditions, maybe heart disease or diabetes or blood pressure or other health problems, run in your parents or immediate family members?
Yes, they do. My mother has issues with her blood pressure, and she's also very hyper aware of diabetes. And so, even without her doctor telling her, she tries to cut down her sugar and tries to eat healthier, which is a good thing, I think. My father, who is passed now, did have issues with cholesterol. And he also was diagnosed with diabetes type 2 before he passed. He passed from cancer, so those are kind of all mute. But I actually live with my mother, who is elderly now. So she eats a lot more plant based whole foods because I cook them for her now. She still eats her eggs and occasionally she still eats meat. However, she's Korean, and so she doesn't normally eat how Americans eat. So she doesn't make meat her main dish. It's always been a side dish for her. Rice and vegetables are always her main source of food. So I'm lucky that way too, because she converts a lot of her soups and her dishes and just leaves out the fish oil and replaces it with some kelp juice or something like that rather than having animal products because she knows how I feel about it. So she actually makes a lot of dishes which are really tasty and are completely whole food and plant based. And she eats it with me. And I also will make a lot of quinoa stir fries for her and we'll make dishes and she'll eat with me. So she's eating more plant based whole foods with me, which is, I think, really increased her energy levels as well as mine. She's always been very active and she really enjoys going to Zumba class. And she was only going maybe once every couple weeks as the older she gets. She's 84 now. And now she goes twice a week. So I think that that's great. And I think that she's feeling better. And so it's kind of rubbing off onto her too.
I love that, how she's 84 and she's actually experiencing more energy and able to go for Zumba class twice a week. And how wonderful to have your mom living with you that you can share the dishes, what you cook and what she's cooking, and that you're able to enjoy that. Since you started a plant based diet 3 months ago, has your weight changed in any way?
Oh, yes. I've lost 15 pounds. I'll say 15 to 20. That last 5 pounds still fluctuates, but 15 pounds for sure. And I feel better doing it slowly this way than I did on keto. Keto was so fast and made me feel very weak when I was losing the weight. And now the only way I really notice I'm losing weight is my clothes fit a little different. And so then I'll go check it and I'll be like, wow, I'm another 5 pounds down. So I think it's healthier to lose just, a few pounds every month rather than the mass amount of pounds I was losing. And I still have my muscles. So I'm not losing muscle with my plant-based whole food way of eating at all. I'm gaining muscle, if anything.
That's great to hear about the weight loss you've had so far. And you're right, a more gradual weight loss is actually the healthiest for your body. This more gradual kind of weight loss is really the one that we want. And this is the one that you're better able to maintain over the long period of time. And even if it's 2 or 3 pounds lost in a month, that can add up to 24 to 36 pounds in a year. So that is still quite a significant amount. So, given your current progress on the plant based diet and your health improvements, what are your health goals or how do you hope to further improve on your plant based diet?
Well, I want to focus more on the whole foods and preparing my own dishes. I want to rely less and less on the packaged vegan things for convenience. Because I pet sit, I'm often away from my home for extended periods of time. But I just picked up a little mini blender and food processor at a yard sale that is small enough that I can take it with me and actually be able to make my own cashew chipotle sauces and things like that that I need to make my own foods. I'm learning how to make quote unquote chicken wings with chickpeas and rice paper wrappings. So I'm excited about cooking more dishes and learning how to cook more dishes. I cook now more than I ever did my entire life. And I find I actually enjoy cooking. I'm satiated. I am satisfied with the foods that I'm eating. I no longer binge eat. Before I had issues, for some reason, I thought I was allergic to bananas and avocados because every time I ate them, my stomach would turn inside out. I can eat bananas and avocados now, and I don't have stomach issues. So that's kind of neat because I'm actually getting to enjoy avocados and guacamole, and I can make banana smoothies. And it was not that I never liked those foods before. It was like, oh, I got to stay away from that because it'll make me sick. So it's nice to be able to find all these different foods to be able to eat that satisfy me, that stop my binge eating. I eat my meals, I'm done. I don't sit and obsess about food anymore. I can watch TV without having to have a snack. If anything, I have to have a glass of water or my water bottle with me. So it's great. And I'm getting more interested in plant based culinary things. So I'm actually looking into maybe taking a class or two just to kind of expand my cooking skills. That's embarrassing to say. I'm 52 and I don't really have cooking skills, but I'm liking it. It's enjoyable to me. I like being able to try new things, how they taste, giving my mom some to see how she likes it, making things for my daughter and my granddaughter when they come and visit me, and not telling them that there's no meat in it, giving them a dinner and seeing how they like it. So that's kind of fun for me. And it kind of gives me a childlike little giddiness. So learning to cook better and focus more on whole foods, that's my goal. Exercising a little more, getting back out there and roller skating. Like all of these great improvements happen just from changing how I ate. So I haven't really even got into the trenches of really focusing on my health and exercising and really getting in there and focusing on it. These first 3 months were just kind of a test to see if things would change. But I'm completely convinced now, and no one can tell me otherwise. I'm completely convinced this is the right path. This is how I need to do it. Even if I end up becoming pre diabetic or even diabetic and I have to take medications for the rest of my life, I will still always eat plant based whole foods because my body likes it. My brain likes it. My mood likes it. So this is the way I'm always going to eat. And I just know I'll see improvements in my health. I just know I will. But even if I don't, this is still how I will eat just because it feels better.
I'm so glad you decided to take that step forward to give whole food plant based eating a try. Because if you didn't try it, like you said, this last 3 months, how would you know the benefits that it will have on your brain, your body, your mood, in so many areas? And now it's spilling over into you having increased enjoyment in cooking and a desire to exercise and to move more. So this is all fantastic in terms of the changes. Was the binge eating quite severe, or have you had that issue for a long time?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Especially in the evenings. Watching TV, I always had to have something to snack on. And I couldn't just snack on a little bit. I had to have the whole bag. So binge eating has always been an issue for me. And it is amazing how this way of eating, the plant-based whole food way of eating, I don't think about binge eating at all anymore, at all. And it's just like a switch was turned off and I don't do it anymore. I've binge eaten my entire life, especially watching TV. And now I just don't do it anymore. I don't feel like I need to. My body doesn't feel like it needs to.
That's such a wonderful change. Now you don't even have to think about the binge eating, or you can sit down in the evenings and watch TV and not feel like you have to eat a whole bag of something.
Absolutely. I love it.
So, Winona, I firmly believe that every person, no matter how long they've been plant based eating, has so much value and wisdom to share from their experience on this journey. Do you have a key takeaway tip for our listeners? Maybe have something you've learned from your experience so far eating plant based that you would like to pass on to encourage others?
One of the things that I would like to pass on is it's not necessarily a new way of eating. You're just eating food. It's food you've always eaten before. So it's not something new or scary that you have to, you know, venture into. Everything I eat now, I've eaten before, just in a different way. Now it's cleaner. Now there's more thought put into it. And now I get to play more with spices and make it the way I want it to taste rather than the way McDonald's or somebody else, some other restaurant wants it to taste. So it's just food and it's nothing to be afraid of. It's just cleaner food. And don't be afraid to try it. Don't be worried about the transition period because, like I said, I'm still in that transition period. I'm still eating the vegan processed foods, although not as much anymore. Because the more I do this, the more I learn. And I think that's the way for everything. The more you do something, the more you learn about it and just keep moving forward.
That's a great takeaway tip, and such an important one because many people have this fear of eating plant based. They think if I make that change into plant based eating, how will I do? It's like a foreign country, foreign territory with all these different new foods and ingredients, which I can understand. Some of those names do sound a bit foreign, like quinoa and chia seeds. But you're right. At the end of the day, it's fruits, it's vegetables, it's beans, it's lentils, it's whole grains, nuts, seeds, mushrooms, which many people have already had at some point in their life. And I love how you said how it's more about now you're able to make food, take these same ingredients and make these foods in the way that you want it to. So, not the way that those fast food giants or manufacturers want it, which often is to add a lot of sugar, salt, and oils to it. But you get to add the spices and seasonings and learn how to make it tasty your way in a way that's healthier and is really nourishing for your body. So, plant based eating, in a sense, from what you're saying, is more about getting more food control, not less of it, and more food choice, and being able to kind of take back control of the foods that you're putting into your body and what you're choosing to nourish your body with. Would you agree with that?
I would agree wholeheartedly with that.
That's wonderful. So I want to thank you today, Winona, for being willing to share your experience with us. And I know our listeners listening to this have definitely been inspired and encouraged hearing your story. So thank you so much, Winona, for taking the time just to share so openly about your experience.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening. If this podcast has inspired, encouraged, or helped you in some way to transform your health, I would love to hear about it. Please take 30 seconds to rate and leave a written review on Apple Podcasts to let me know. It'll encourage me so much to hear how this podcast has positively impacted and made a difference in your journey towards wellness. And share about this podcast with a friend or loved one so we can all thrive in the best health. Remember, plant-based eating can be easy and doable. See you in the next episode, my friend.